Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we're going to take a deeper look at the Drachenader IE BR, and that's going to be with the ultimate goal of seeing if this knife has a place in your collection or in your daily rotation. Now, I've spent a couple of days with this knife, and I feel like I've gotten to know it pretty well. As far as the ergonomics, I've got plenty of room, full 4-finger grip, and I can even choke up a little bit, or I can choke back a little bit, but overall I've got plenty of room. The textured G10 provides a little extra grip, and the milled pattern on the G10 is just a nice touch. I wasn't able to find any hot spots. But keep in mind, my use is limited pretty much to box cutting and paper cutting. So, if you're hard using this constantly, it's possible you'll have a hot spot that I didn't experience, but overall I thought it was fine. This pocket clip is flat enough that this also doesn't create a hot spot. They've got it nice and low, the ramp isn't too overdone. So I was able to hold on to this knife and, and really not, like I said, not worry about hot spots or anything like that. Now, as far as the carry profile, this is a full-size knife. You're going to feel it in the pocket. It wasn't obtrusive or anything, but you're definitely going to know it's there. I wouldn't wear it jogging. I wouldn't wear it in shorts. It's going to weigh you down a little bit. And I wish the carry was a little bit deeper. You're going to have about this much poking out. And I could not one-hand it into my pocket. I definitely had to grab my pants and kind of help get the clip over it. That's kind of the trade-off to having such a flat, unobtrusive pocket clip, which I'm actually perfectly fine making that trade. If it takes me 2 hands to put it in the pocket and get it clipped, but I can avoid hot spots that clips usually provide. I say provide like it's a good thing, but that clips usually give you, then I would rather have something flat that's going to stay out of the way. Now, you might not consider this knife super smooth because it's got some button stick, but that button stick is an indicator that the knife is really engaged, because you're having to overcome more pressure to close it. And this is a plunge lock, so what we have is we have a button that we push, that pushes a button, that pushes a spring, and that drops the blade, right? So they're not known for being the most reliable and sturdiest locking systems, but I did give this thing a pretty hefty spine whack during the overview, and I'll go ahead and give it a little bit more juice. Yeah, not having any issues there. So the lockup, despite it being a plunge lock, is still solid, strong, as long as you're not doing anything crazy with it, certainly nothing harder than I just did with the spine whack, then you're going to be perfectly fine. Now, as far as the button lock goes, I didn't have a problem with it whenever I first got into the knife and started fidgeting with it, but it's just smoothing out more and more, and it's actually adding fun to the fidget factor. Listen to this. I don't know if that's coming over, but it gives you a little extra click and acoustics and that tactile feel. Those are all important to me, so I'm more than happy to have just a tad of stick just to add to the fidgetability of the knife. The action's fun. The thumb isn't the most comfortable, but the reverse flick is great. And then the flipper tab, fantastic. It's not jimped, but I really don't think it's necessary. I don't feel myself slipping off because this flipper tab gives you a little spot here to kind of nestle in. And I haven't slipped off once. You can light switch it, you can push button it. Both are fine. So, you know, this is going to be for somebody who's looking for simple but reliable, everyday kind of beater, right? This is the type of knife that you carry on you with your nicer knife. That way, whenever you're doing, you know, some light paper cutting or whatever, you can use your nicer knife for that. But then whenever you have something more taxing, something that might actually, like, you know, damage the knife, you can pull out something like this, right? Which is going to be, so kind of like, you know, the thing that absorbs the damage and protects your nicer knife, basically. I basically said that like 3 times. You know, and the thing you want to be mindful of, though, is that, you know, if you're a big slicer, this, you know, this clip point Tonto isn't going to be the most utilitarian if you're like slicing boxes and stuff. It will be great for precision cuts, though, because you've got this second tip here. You can drop down and do your pull cuts. You've got the primary tip, which is just a little over the pivot, so you're not going to have to go up crazy amounts to get it, you know, to get the tip down. You can go about right here and then still do your draw cuts. But keep that in mind. You know, if you need something a little more robust and something that's got like precision tip strength and cutting, precision strength, it doesn't make any sense. But if you need something that's going to be like a precision cutter and less of a, you know, mass, like cut through a bunch of boxes slashing, then, you know, this knife is going to be a good fit for you. The things that I like about this knife are, I like the blade geometry because it's aggressive. It gives it some personality. Oh, and also we have very functional jimping up here. It's not painful, but you can see those teeth are pretty deep. But they have enough surface area on top of the teeth that it doesn't, you know, it's not going to aggravate you or hurt or anything like that. Like you can really lean into that, the teeth there, and, you know, and you can use it and you're not going to get sore. But I like the aggressive look of the blade. It gives it some personality. I do enjoy the action and the acoustics of this knife quite a bit. I like that it's 14C 28N because 14C has some phenomenal properties to it. You know, it's great at sharpening, like being easy to sharpen, great corrosion resistance, great toughness. The only thing it's lacking is edge retention, but, you know, I mean, you can strap it back to you know, a fine edge pretty easily. You know, just because that's the trade-off, right? If you have low edge retention, if your blade wears quickly, then that means it's also going to be easy to touch up because the blade wears easy, right? And then after you touch it up on a strop or sharpen it, you get back to a screaming edge, and, you know, you do it all over again. Now, the things that I think could make this knife a stronger offering, and I did share this with Drachenader, is moving the branding to the non-show side, or just reducing it down to their dragon logo. Those both would be great. Offering it in different materials, like, you know, maybe like an aluminum or a micarta. I think that would be nice. As a matter of fact, I'd pay a little bit extra for that. G10's great, but, you know, it's not my favorite. I do know they're coming out with different colorways. Green and black aren't necessarily my aesthetic, but I know some people go crazy for it. But, you know, yeah, just having some different cosmetic options, some different material options, that would help. And then this fuller here, I've gotten it a couple of times, but it's not really functional, right? And, you know, as collectors, whenever we look at a knife and we see that it's got a fuller, we get a little excited. Whenever we see that the fuller is fully exposed and not hiding behind the scale, we get a little more excited. But then whenever you actually get into it, oh wow. So it's one of those things where it's like the the lighter you do it, yeah, see now I'm pushing too hard. The lighter you do it, the easier it is. But it's still not consistent, right? So I'd want to see consistent flickability with that fuller. You know, otherwise, I think this is going to be a great knife, like I was saying, for somebody that just needs a beater knife, daily carry. It's coming in at 42 bucks, and there's a lot of competition at 42 bucks. What I think makes this knife worth it, one is the attention to detail with like the milled G10. I do think that's nice. The thoughtful texturing they put on it, the fact that it is 14C28N, you know, and then the fidget factor. You know, for those things, I think this knife stands out of the crowd a little bit. And if you pick it up, I mean, it's not going to be your most favorite knife ever, right? Because it's not doing anything crazy innovative. It's not doing anything that makes it, you know, holy cow, this knife will never leave my pocket. But it's going to be a good, strong user. It'll definitely do its job of protecting your high-end knives, your more expensive knives, if you're a 2-knife carry type of person like I am, sometimes 3 or 4 knives. And yeah, I think, you know, you're definitely going to be getting your money's worth for this knife. So that's really about it, though. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content, please subscribe. And I'll leave a link to this knife down in the description, as well as my link to Instagram. So please follow me at SEVRSEVN at Sever7. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay sharp.